The last human ship floated in the darkness of space like a ghost. Captain So-Min Park stood on the bridge, watching the stars through the big window. Her hands were calm, but her heart was beating fast. Today was the day humans would leave the galaxy forever. "Captain, all systems are ready," said Young Ho Choi from his station. He was the youngest person on the ship, but he knew more about their secret technology than anyone else. His fingers moved quickly over the controls that looked simple but held power beyond what most aliens could imagine. So-Min nodded. "Send the final message to the Council." 3 months ago, Ambassador Hyun-Woo Kim had shocked the entire galaxy. He stood in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, where 12 different alien races made decisions for thousands of worlds. The hall was huge, with floating platforms for each species. The Vorthak floated in purple clouds, reading minds with their strange powers. The Quillen buzzed together like angry bees, sharing one big mind across their whole empire. Hyun-Woo had walked to the center of the hall. He was a small man with gray hair, wearing the simple blue uniform that all human diplomats wore. For 50 years, humans had been the newest members of the council. Most aliens thought they were useful, but not very smart. "Great Council," Hyun-Woo had said, his voice clear and strong. "Humanity thanks you for 50 years of learning. We have decided to pursue other arrangements. We no longer need council protection or membership." The aliens had stared at him in surprise. The Vorthak tried to read his mind, but Hyun-Woo had learned to block their powers years ago. The energy beings called Luxari flickered with confusion, their light bodies pulsing with questions they could not ask. "You are making a mistake," said the Vorthak leader, its voice echoing in everyone's head. "Humans are weak alone. You need our protection from the dark things between stars." Hyun-Woo had smiled. "We appreciate your concern, but we have found our own way." That was the last time any alien had seen a human diplomat. Now, 3 months later, Captain So-Min was finishing what Hyun-Woo had started. Every human colony, every research station, every small outpost in council space was empty. Humans had packed up and left without making noise or causing trouble. "The message is sent," Young Ho reported. "Dr. Jae-Sung Lee's final words are now in the council database." So-Min remembered Dr. Lee. He was the smartest human she had ever met, but he acted like a simple scientist. For years, he had worked in council laboratories, always asking questions. That seemed basic, but somehow made the alien scientists think in new ways. His final message was short. "Thank you for the lessons. We will remember them." The aliens would find that message strange. They thought they had been teaching humans about advanced technology and galactic politics. They had no idea what humans had really been learning. "Captain," called Soo-Jin Han from the sensor station. 5 alien ships are coming toward Kepler Station. They will arrive in 2 hours. Kepler Station had been humanity's biggest research center in council space. It floated near a star that humans had helped the aliens study. For 20 years, human scientists had worked there alongside aliens, sharing knowledge and building friendship, or so the aliens thought. "Are we ready to clean the station?" So-Min asked. Young Ho nodded. "All human technology has been removed. The quantum scrubbers are in place. When we activate them, there will be no trace of what we really built there." So-Min thought about all the work they had done. While aliens saw humans doing simple research, they had actually been building something incredible. Hidden in the walls of Kepler Station were machines that could bend space and time, computers that thought in ways alien minds could not follow, weapons that could reach across dimensions. The aliens had never suspected because humans were very good at looking simple. "Begin the cleaning process," So-Min ordered. Young Ho's hands moved over his controls. Far away at Kepler Station, invisible machines began to work. They took apart every piece of human technology, breaking it down to basic atoms. They erased every computer file, every research note, every hint of what humans had really been doing. But they left the station itself perfect and clean, just the way aliens expected. "The work is done," Young-ho said. "When the alien ships arrive, they will find a normal research station. All our real projects are gone." So Min felt sad and excited at the same time. Sad because humans were leaving behind 50 years of careful work. Excited because now the real plan could begin. She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, hidden in the dark spaces between galaxies, Admiral Dong-Hyun Kang was building humanity's new home. Not on planets, but in giant ships that could travel between dimensions. Ships that used technology aliens thought was impossible. "Captain," said Bitna Yoon, the ship's communications officer, "we have received final confirmation from all evacuation fleets. Every human is now beyond the galactic rim. The Council has no idea where we went." So-min smiled. The Council thought humans had run away like scared children. They believed humans had gone back to their home planet, Earth, to hide and feel sorry for themselves. They were very wrong. "Set course for the meeting point," So-min ordered. "It's time to go home." The ship began to move, but not in any way aliens would recognize. Instead of jumping through hyperspace like normal ships, it started to fade from normal reality. Young-ho had activated the dimensional drive, a machine that humans had built using secrets they learned by watching how alien minds worked. As the ship disappeared from the galaxy, So-min thought about Ambassador Hyun-woo. He was probably already at the new human home, meeting with President Jin Ao and the other leaders. They would be planning the next part of their long plan. The aliens thought they understood humans. They saw a species that was good at fighting and talking, but not very advanced. They never realized that humans were different in a much more important way. Humans could see patterns that other species missed. They could think of ideas that alien minds could not imagine. They could solve problems by breaking rules that aliens thought could never be broken. For 50 years, humans had been students in the galaxy's greatest school. They had learned everything the aliens could teach them. But more importantly, they had learned the aliens' weaknesses. Now, school was over. The real test was about to begin. As the last human ship vanished into dimensions that aliens did not know existed, the galaxy became a little more quiet. The Council would meet and wonder why humans had left. They would check their systems and find everything working normally. They would have no idea that in a few months, their perfect order would begin to fall apart, and they would never suspect that the quiet humans who had sat in the back of their great hall had been taking notes on how to tear it all down. The exodus was complete. The real game was about to start. Commander Bitna Yoon floated in the command center of a space station that did not exist. At least it did not exist in any way the Galactic Council could detect. The station was hidden inside an asteroid, but it was also shifted slightly into another dimension. Human scientists called it quantum stealth. 6 months had passed since the last humans left Council space. Bitna and her small team were the only humans still watching the galaxy, hidden in their secret base. Their job was to observe and wait. "Commander," called engineer Soo-Jin Han from her station. "I'm detecting strange energy readings from the Quillen sectors." Bitna floated over to look at Soo-Jin's screens. The Quillen were one of the strangest alien races in the Council. They shared one giant mind across billions of bodies spread across hundreds of worlds. When one Quillen learned something, all Quillen knew it instantly. "What kind of strange?" Bitna asked. Soo-Jin pointed at the wavy lines on her screen. "Their mind link is having problems. Look at these gaps. For 17 minutes yesterday, 3 entire star systems lost connection." With the Quillen hive mind, Bitna felt her heart speed up. This was what they had been waiting for. "Are you sure?" "Very sure," Soo-Jin said. "And it's getting worse. Today I detected static in their mental network. The Quillen are confused and scared." From across the hidden station, Dr. Sung-Ho Bae called out. "Commander, I'm seeing similar problems with the Vorthak telepathic network." Their mind readers are reporting headaches and strange dreams. Bitna smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone watching a plan work perfectly. She walked to the communication station and opened a secret channel. The message would travel through dimensions that aliens could not detect, reaching Admiral Donghyun Kang in humanity's new home between the stars. "Admiral," she said, "the quantum disruption is beginning. Phase 2 can start." Far away, beyond, the edge of the galaxy, Admiral Kang received the message. He stood in the command center of a ship so large it could hold 1,000,000 people. Around him, hundreds of other ships floated in formation, connected by energy beams that made them work like one giant machine. "Begin Phase 2, Admiral Kang ordered. Deep in the ship's engine room, machines that aliens thought were impossible started to work. They reached across space and time, finding the hidden frequencies that connected alien minds. Then they began to add tiny amounts of chaos to those connections. The aliens would think it was just technical problems. They would never guess that humans were slowly breaking their most important systems. Back in Council space, the problems were getting worse every day. The Quillen held emergency meetings, trying to understand why their perfect hive mind was having trouble. Some Quillen could not hear the group thoughts. Others heard too many voices at once. The Vorthak were even more confused. They're telepathic. Powers had always been strong and clear. Now they were getting strange signals mixed in with normal thoughts. Some Vorthak were starting to go crazy from the mental noise. But it was not just the mind-reading species having problems. The Luxari, who were made of pure energy, found that their light bodies were flickering at the wrong times. The machine, race called the Tekron, discovered that their computers were making small mistakes in calculations. In the Great Council Hall, the alien leaders met to discuss the growing problems. "This cannot be coincidence," said the Vorthak representative, its purple cloud body rippling with worry. "All our systems are failing at the same time." The Quillen spoke with one voice from 1,000 mouths. "We have checked our technology many times. There is no reason for these failures." The Luxari flickered between different colors as it spoke. "Our scientists believe the problems come from outside our understanding. Something is changing the basic laws of physics in small ways." The other alien races nodded in agreement. The eye, fish-like Aquari, had problems with their underwater cities. The plant creatures called Verdani found their biological networks were growing in strange patterns. Even the rock people known as Stone Mind were having trouble thinking clearly. Only one species seemed unaffected, humans. But humans were gone. "Could this be connected to the human departure?" asked the insect-like Hector representative. The other, aliens, made sounds of disbelief. The idea seemed silly. Humans had been the least advanced species in the Council. They had basic technology and simple minds. How could they cause problems across the entire galaxy? "Impossible," said the Vorthak. "Humans barely understood our most basic science. They could not create effects like this." But some aliens were starting to wonder. They remembered how humans had always asked strange questions. How human scientists had wanted to study things that seemed unimportant. How human diplomats had sat quietly in meetings, listening and taking notes. Meanwhile, in their hidden base, Commander Bitna watched the alien confusion with satisfaction. Sujin Han was tracking the quantum disruptions as they spread across the galaxy like ripples in a pond. "The effects are exactly as Dr. Jae-Sung Lee predicted," Sujin reported. "The aliens built their technology using the same basic principles. When we disrupt those principles in small ways, everything starts to break down slowly." Bitna remembered Dr. Lee's explanation. For 50 years, he had studied alien technology not to copy it, but to find its weaknesses. He discovered that all the different alien races had based their science on the same fundamental ideas about how the universe worked. Those ideas were mostly correct, but they missed some important details. details that humans had figured out during their time in the Council. The aliens think reality follows strict rules, Dr. Lee had explained. They built everything to work with those rules. But humans know that reality is actually much more flexible. When we push against the universe in the right way, we can change the rules slightly. The quantum disruption was Dr. Lee's masterpiece. It did not break alien technology directly. Instead, it changed the basic forces that made the technology work, like changing the weight of gravity just a little bit or making light move slightly, faster in some places. The changes were tiny, but they were enough. Across the galaxy, alien machines started making mistakes. Communication networks had delays. Computers gave wrong answers to math problems. Spaceships arrived at the wrong destinations. Most importantly, the aliens' mental networks were being disrupted. The species that shared thoughts across space found their connections full of static and confusion. "Commander," called Dr. Bay from his station, "I'm detecting massive energy signatures from deep space. The patterns match Admiral Kang's dimensional fleet." Bitna looked at the readings. The numbers showed incredible amounts of power being used in ways that should have been impossible. Admiral Kang's ships were not just hiding between dimensions. They were actively changing the structure of space-time around Council worlds. "How many ships does the Admiral have now?" she asked. Su-Jin checked her secret databases. "According to the last report, over 3,000 major vessels and 50,000 support craft, all of them equipped with dimensional technology that the Council has never seen." Bitna nodded. While the aliens had been teaching humans about their advanced science, humans had been secretly developing something much better. They had learned to think outside the rigid rules that limited alien minds. The result was technology that worked. By bending reality instead of following its rules. Ships that could exist in multiple dimensions at once. Computers that could think with quantum consciousness. Weapons that could reach across space and time to disable targets without being detected. "Phase 2 is working perfectly," Bitna reported to Admiral Kang. "The Council is confused and scared. They have no idea what's happening to them." "Excellent," came the Admiral's reply through the dimensional communicator. "Continue monitoring. Phase 3 will begin when their infrastructure starts failing completely." Bitna looked out through the hidden station's windows at the stars of Council space. The aliens out there thought they ruled the galaxy with their advanced technology and perfect order. They had no idea that their entire civilization was built on foundations that humans could shake whenever they wanted. The cracks were spreading. Soon, the mighty Galactic Council would discover just how fragile their perfect order really was, and they would learn that the quiet humans they had dismissed, as primitive, had been preparing for this moment for 50 years. Scientist Hye-Jin Nam sat in her laboratory aboard the human dimensional fleet, reading through 50 years of research files. Around her, screens showed data that would have shocked any alien scientist who could understand it. But no alien would ever see this place. The laboratory existed in a space between dimensions, where the normal rules of physics worked differently. Here, humans had built machines that could think like living beings and computers that could dream. Hye-Jin's job was to study alien psychology, and her discoveries had changed everything. "Computer, show me the files from year 15, she said. The computer responded with a gentle voice, displaying research from the Vorthak Mind Study Project. Images appeared in the air around Hye-Jin. They showed brain scans of different alien species, alongside human brains. The differences were shocking. "Look at this," Hye-Jin said to her assistant, Captain Minseo Lim, who had just entered the lab. "The aliens think in straight lines. Their thoughts follow the same patterns every time. Even the species that call themselves chaotic are actually very predictable." Minseo studied the brain scans. She was a military officer, but she had learned to understand Hye-Jin's work because it was the key to everything humans were doing. "But human brains are different?" Minseo asked. Completely different, Hyejin said, pointing to the human brain scans. Look at these neural pathways. They jump around randomly. They make connections that don't seem logical. Aliens see this as a weakness, but it's actually our greatest strength. Hyejin pulled up another set of files. For 50 years, I studied every alien species in the Council. I learned how they think, how they solve problems, how they see the universe. And I discovered something amazing. The screens showed complex diagrams of alien thought patterns. Every species had a different way of thinking, but they all followed mathematical rules. The Vorthak telepaths thought in perfect spirals. The Quillen hive mind thought in branching networks. The energy-based Luxari thought in wave patterns. They're all predictable, Hyejin continued. Once you understand the pattern, you can predict what any alien will think or do in any situation. But humans, we have no pattern. Our thoughts are pure chaos. Minseo was beginning to understand. So, while they were studying us and thinking we were simple, we were studying them and discovering they were like complex machines, Hyejin finished. Beautiful advanced machines, but still machines. And any machine can be broken if you understand how it works. Meanwhile, Captain Minseo's other job was leading secret missions back into Council space. Her ship was small and invisible, equipped with technology that Dr. Shung-Ho Bei had designed specifically to exploit alien weaknesses. Dr. Bei had spent 30 years working in Council research stations, always acting like a helpful but not very bright human scientist. The aliens had been happy to explain their technology to him, thinking they were educating a primitive species. They had no idea he was taking notes on how to destroy everything they showed him. The quantum foundations are the key, Dr. Bei had explained to the human leadership years ago. Every piece of alien technology from every species uses the same basic quantum frequencies. They think these frequencies are natural laws that cannot be changed. He had smiled when he said the next part. But humans have learned to change them. Now, Minseo used Dr. Bei's discoveries on her missions into Council space. Her ship carried devices that could alter quantum frequencies in small areas. When she used them near alien technology, interesting things happened. On her latest mission, she had visited a Quillen research station. The station was studying black holes, using machines that could bend space and time. The aliens thought their technology was perfectly safe and advanced. Minseo had activated one of Dr. Bei's quantum disruptors near the station. For just a few seconds, the quantum frequencies in that area of space had changed slightly. The alien machines had immediately started giving wrong readings about the black hole. The Quillen scientists were confused and worried. Their instruments said the black hole was growing larger, then smaller, then spinning in impossible directions. They spent weeks checking their equipment, never realizing that a tiny human device had made their advanced sensors useless. Another successful mission. Minseo reported to Admiral Kang when she returned to the fleet. The Quillen Black Hole Research Project is completely shut down. They think their instruments are broken. Admiral Kang nodded with satisfaction. How many Council research projects have been disrupted now? Over 400, Minseo replied. We've made their scientists afraid to trust their own equipment. They're starting to doubt everything they thought they knew about physics. But the real revelations were happening in the files that Hyejin was studying. She had discovered the truth about human consciousness, and it was more shocking than anyone had imagined. Computer, show me the consciousness comparison files, she said. New images appeared, showing the deepest brain scans that humans had ever made. These scans revealed something that alien science had missed completely. Human consciousness operates on quantum frequencies, Hyejin explained to a room, full of human leaders who had gathered to hear her latest discoveries. Our thoughts actually exist partially in quantum dimensions that aliens cannot detect. President Jin-ai, the leader of humanity's new government, leaned forward with interest. What does that mean for our abilities? It means we can interface directly with quantum technology using just our minds, Hye-jin said. We don't need complex machines to manipulate quantum frequencies. Our consciousness can do it naturally. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Dr. Jae-sung Lee, who had designed much of humanity's quantum technology, spoke first. Are you saying that human brains are natural quantum computers? More than that, Hye-jin replied. Human consciousness exists partially outside normal space-time. That's why we can think of solutions that alien minds cannot imagine. We're literally thinking with parts of our brains that exist in quantum dimensions. Ambassador Kyungmin Shin, who would soon be negotiating with the Alien Council, asked the important question, How long have you known this? Hye-jin smiled. I suspected it after 20 years of studying alien brains. I proved it after 30 years. For the last 20 years, we've been secretly training humans to use their quantum consciousness abilities. She gestured to the screens around them. Every human in our fleet has been trained to enhance their natural quantum awareness. We can think faster, solve problems that should be impossible, and interface with technology in ways that aliens cannot understand. Young Ho Choi, now one of the fleet's chief engineers, raised his hand. Is this why our technology works so much better than alien technology? Exactly, Hye-jin said. Alien technology is limited by alien consciousness. They can only build machines that work the way their minds work. But human technology is designed to work with quantum consciousness. It can do things that alien minds cannot even imagine. The meeting continued for hours as Hye-jin revealed discovery after discovery. Humans were not just different from aliens. They were operating on a completely different level of reality. While aliens thought with the parts of their brains that existed in normal space-time, humans thought with quantum consciousness that could reach across dimensions. This made humans naturally able to solve problems, see patterns, and create solutions that were invisible to alien minds. This is why the Council never suspected our real capabilities, Hye-jin concluded. Their minds literally cannot perceive the quantum dimensions where our best thinking happens. To them, we look primitive because they can only see the simple parts of our consciousness. President Oh stood up, her expression serious but excited. How many humans know about their quantum abilities now? Every human in the fleet has been trained, Hye-jin replied. Over 50 million people who can think and work with quantum consciousness. We have become something that the galaxy has never seen before. Admiral Kang activated his communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Kang. Prepare for Phase 3 operations. It's time to show the Council what quantum consciousness can really do. Across the human fleet, 50 million people began to focus their quantum-enhanced minds on the task ahead. They were about to demonstrate that humans were not the primitive species that had left the galaxy in defeat. They were the next step in evolution, and they were coming home. General Woo Jin Seo stood in the war room of humanity's command ship, looking at a map of the galaxy that showed things no alien had ever seen. Red dots marked failing alien systems. Blue lines showed quantum disruption patterns. Green arrows indicated human strike teams moving through dimensions that aliens could not detect. General, reported Captain Junho Song, all teams are in position for the final phase. Woo Jin nodded. For 1 year, they had been slowly breaking down the Council's systems. Now it was time to finish the job. The galaxy was falling apart, and the aliens still had no idea why. In the Vorthak home system, the telepathic network that connected their entire civilization had crashed 6 times in the past month. Millions of Vorthak were lost and confused, unable to hear the mental voices that had guided them for thousands of years. The Quillen hive mind was even worse off. Entire sectors of their empire had gone silent. Some Quillen populations were developing individual thoughts for the first time in their species' history. The hive mind leaders were terrified that their perfect unity was breaking down forever. Dr. Yoon-ji Kwan's dimensional warfare technology was working exactly as planned. Her machines could reach through parallel dimensions to strike at Council systems without being detected. Alien sensors could not see attacks that came from dimensions they did not know existed. "Dr. Quan," General Wu Jin said over the communication system, "begin the infrastructure strikes." "Yes, General," came Dr. Quan's voice from her laboratory ship. "Activating dimensional strike teams now." Across Council space, human teams that existed between dimensions began their work. Captain Junho led the most important mission, disabling the Council's central communication network. The network was protected by the best alien technology. Force fields that could stop any known weapon, sensors that could detect any normal attack, computer systems that could calculate billions of defense strategies in seconds. But the aliens had never planned for attacks that came from quantum dimensions. Junho's team appeared inside the communications center like ghosts becoming solid. The alien guards could not see them until they were already inside the most secure room in the facility. "Quantum disruptors in position," reported team member Yoon-Soo Park. "Energy dampers ready," added So Young Kim. Junho activated his equipment. The quantum disruptors began changing the basic forces that made the alien computers work. Within minutes, the most advanced communication system in the galaxy started giving random outputs. The aliens watching the screens saw their computers displaying impossible information, messages from planets that did not exist, star charts showing systems in the wrong places, communication requests from ships that had been destroyed centuries ago. What is happening? The alien technicians asked each other, but their equipment could not give them answers. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, similar teams were striking at every major council facility. Power stations that fed energy to entire star systems suddenly began flickering. The artificial suns that aliens had built to light their worlds started pulsing at random intervals. Automated defense systems turned on their own fleets. Battle computers began giving orders that made no sense. Weapon systems fired at empty space while enemy targets sat right in front of them. General Wu Jin watched the reports coming in from hundreds of strike teams. Each success was marked on his dimensional map with a new green dot. Strike Team 7 has disabled the Luxari energy grid, reported one officer. "Strike Team 12 has corrupted the Techron machine consciousness," called another. "Strike Team 20 has scrambled the Aquari underwater navigation systems." Each report meant that another piece of the Council's technological civilization had been quietly broken. Not destroyed, humans were careful not to kill aliens or damage their worlds, but disabled in ways that the aliens could not fix because they did not understand what was wrong. The council leaders met in emergency sessions every day now, trying to understand the crisis that was destroying their civilization. "Our greatest. Scientists cannot explain these failures," said the Vorthak representative, its purple cloud body flickering with confusion and fear. "All our diagnostic equipment says our systems are working perfectly," buzzed the Quillen collective voice. "But nothing works correctly anymore." The Luxari energy beings pulsed with frustrated colors. "We have checked the basic laws of physics in our laboratories. Everything appears normal, yet our technology fails in ways that should be impossible." Some aliens had begun to suspect that the problems were not natural. The timing seemed too perfect. The failures were too widespread. But they still could not imagine that humans were responsible. "Could this be an attack by an unknown enemy?" asked the Hector insect representative. "What? Enemy could strike at every system in the galaxy without being detected?" replied the Stone Mine delegate. "Our sensors show no hostile fleets, no weapons fire, no enemy activity of any kind." The aliens were trapped by their own logical thinking. They looked for enemies that fit their understanding of warfare. Fleets of ships, energy weapons, direct attacks that could be detected and fought. They could not imagine an enemy that attacked by changing the basic rules of reality in tiny ways. An enemy that struck from dimensions they could not see, using consciousness itself as a weapon, but General Wu Jin and his human forces were using exactly those tactics. Phase 4 is complete, Captain Junho reported from his latest mission. The Council's military command systems are non-functional. Their fleets cannot coordinate attacks or even communicate with each other. General Wu Jin smiled grimly. Excellent. Begin Phase 5. Total infrastructure collapse. Dr. Yunji Kwan's voice came over the communication system. General, are you sure we want to go this far? Phase 5 will cripple their entire civilization. They chose this path when they built their empire on oppression and rigid control, General Wu Jin replied. We gave them 50 years to learn better ways. Now they face the consequences. The truth was that humans had never intended to conquer the galaxy through war. General Wu Jin had studied alien civilizations and discovered that they were fundamentally different from humanity in a dangerous way. Aliens built civilizations based on hierarchy and control. The strong ruled the weak. The advanced species controlled the primitive ones. Individual freedom was sacrificed for collective order. Humans had realized that if they stayed in the council system, they would eventually be forced to conform or be destroyed. The aliens would never accept a species that thought differently, that valued individual freedom over collective security. So humans had chosen to leave peacefully, hoping the aliens would let them go. But intelligence reports showed that the Council was planning to hunt down humanity and force them back into the galactic order. The Council sees our departure as a threat to their authority, General Wu Jin had explained to President Jin Ao months earlier. They will not allow us to exist as an independent alternative to their system. That was when humanity had decided to fight, not for conquest, but for the right to exist freely. Now, Phase 5 was beginning. Across Council space, human teams activated the most powerful quantum disruptors ever built. These devices did not just interfere with alien technology, they changed the basic quantum fields that held the aliens' artificial worlds together. Space stations began losing artificial gravity. Orbital cities found their life support systems failing. The massive engineering projects that aliens had built over thousands of years started falling apart as the forces holding them together became unreliable. In the council hall, emergency. Alarms blared as the building's own systems began to malfunction. The floating platforms that held each species started dropping toward the floor. The atmospheric controls that let different species breathe in the same space began mixing dangerous gases. Evacuate the hall, ordered the senior council members, but their communication systems were not working properly. Some aliens received orders to evacuate, others received orders to stay. Still others received messages in languages they could not understand. General Wu Jin watched the chaos through secret cameras that human agents had hidden in the council hall years earlier. He felt no joy in the aliens' confusion and fear, but he felt no guilt either. Send the message, he ordered. Captain Junho activated a communication system that bypassed all alien networks. The message appeared on every screen in council space, transmitted through quantum dimensions that aliens could not block or trace. The message was simple. The Galactic Council will surrender unconditionally, or your technological civilization will be completely disabled. You have 24 hours to decide. For the first time in galactic history, the mighty council faced an enemy they could not see, could not understand, and could not fight. And that enemy had once been the quiet, primitive humans who sat in the back of their great hall taking notes. President Jin Ao stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship as it materialized in the center of council space. Around her ship, the entire human fleet appeared out of dimensions that aliens had never imagined existed. 3,000 massive vessels and 50,000 support craft filled the space around the Council's home system like a metal forest growing from nothing. The aliens had surrendered. It had taken them exactly 23 hours and 47 minutes to make their decision. When every piece of technology in their civilization stopped working at the same time, when their fleets could not move and their worlds went dark, they finally understood the power they were facing. Open a channel to all council worlds, President O ordered. Her words would be heard by trillions of aliens across the galaxy, transmitted through quantum networks that bypassed every communication system the aliens had ever built. "Citizens of the galaxy," she began, her voice calm and strong. "I am President Jin O of humanity. We have not come as conquerors. We have come to free you from the chains you did not know you wore." In the Great Council Hall, which was now lit only by emergency power, the alien leaders listened in shocked silence. The Vorthak tried to read President O's mind and found only calm determination. The Quillen buzzed with confusion as their hive minds struggled to understand what was happening. "For 50 years, humanity observed your council," President O continued. "We learned your laws, studied your technology, and understood your ways. But most importantly, we discovered something you had forgotten: the value of freedom and diversity." Ambassador Kyung-min Shin stepped forward to stand beside the president. He would be humanity's voice in the negotiations that would reshape the galaxy. "The Galactic Council has ruled through fear and rigid control," Ambassador Shin said. "Species that think differently are forced to conform. Worlds that want independence are crushed. Individual freedom is sacrificed for collective order." On a dozen worlds, alien citizens who had never heard such ideas before began to whisper among themselves. For thousands of years, they had been told that the Council's way was the only way to maintain peace and prosperity. "This ends today," President O announced. "The Council as it existed is dissolved. In its place, we will build a true federation where every species has a voice and every world has the right to choose its own path." The alien leaders in the council hall finally found their voices. "You cannot destroy thousands of years of galactic." "Order!" protested the Vorthak representative. "Your primitive species has no right to rule over advanced civilizations," buzzed the Quillen collective. President O's response was broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. "We do not seek to rule you. We seek to free you to rule yourselves." Admiral Tae-young Kim, commander of humanity's peacekeeping forces, stepped up to explain the new reality. "Human fleets will ensure that no species uses force against another," Admiral Kim announced. "Any attempt to recreate the old council's oppressive system will be stopped. But beyond that, each world and each species will be free to develop as they choose." The implications were staggering. For the first time in galactic history, there would be no central authority forcing conformity, no rigid laws that every species had to follow, no punishment for thinking differently or choosing unusual paths. Dr. Jae-sung Lee, now revealed as the architect of humanity's technological revolution, appeared on screens across the galaxy to explain the deeper truth. "The Council believed that evolution had ended with logic and order," Dr. Lee said. "They thought that advanced species should eliminate chaos and unpredictability. But they were wrong." His words carried the weight of 50 years of secret research. "Chaos is not the enemy of progress. It is the engine of evolution. When you eliminate chaos, you eliminate the possibility of growth, change, and new discoveries." On worlds where aliens had been forced to suppress their natural instincts and conform to council standards, his words sparked something that had been sleeping for centuries: hope. Dr. Lee continued, "Humanity represents a different path. We embrace chaos and use it to solve problems that logical thinking cannot handle. We have learned to think with quantum consciousness, to work with reality instead of trying to control it." The demonstration that followed changed everything the aliens thought they knew about the universe. Young-ho Choi, now an elderly engineer but still humanity's leading expert on quantum consciousness, appeared in the council hall itself, not through a screen or hologram, but physically present through dimensional technology that made alien scientists gasp in wonder. "This is how human consciousness works," Young-ho said, holding up a device that looked impossibly simple. The device was just a small crystal connected to basic wires, but when Young-ho focused his mind on it, The crystal began to glow with light that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "We do not force reality to follow our rules," Young-ho explained. "We join with reality and help it explore new possibilities." The alien scientists watching could barely comprehend what they were seeing. The device was doing things that their most advanced computers said were impossible. But Young-ho was making it work simply by thinking in harmony with quantum forces. "For 50 years you taught us about your technology," Young-ho continued. "But you never understood that our minds work as natural quantum computers. We can interface with reality in ways that your logical thinking cannot achieve." He gestured to the other humans in the hall. "Every human can do this to some degree. We think with consciousness that exists partially outside normal space-time. That is why we can solve problems that stump your greatest minds." The revelation sent shockwaves through alien civilization. They had spent thousands of years trying to build more logical, more orderly ways of thinking. Meanwhile, humans had evolved consciousness that could work directly with the chaotic, creative forces of the universe. President O took control of the conversation again. "This is why the old council had to end. Your rigid thinking was preventing the galaxy from growing and evolving. You were creating a cosmic dead end." She gestured to the human fleet surrounding them. "We offer a different path. A galactic federation where chaos and order work together. Where different ways of thinking are valued instead of feared." Ambassador Shin presented the terms of the new galactic order. "Every world has the right to self-determination. No species may force its values on another. Trade and communication will be free and open. Scientific knowledge will be shared willingly, not hoarded by the powerful." The most shocking term came last. "Any species that wishes to leave the Federation may do so without interference. Any world that wants to join may apply freely." For aliens who had lived under the Council's absolute authority, the idea of voluntary participation was revolutionary. But the most important change was already happening across the galaxy. Species that had been suppressed under Council rule were beginning to explore their natural abilities again. The plant creatures called Verdani started growing in new patterns that created beautiful art instead of just efficient food production. The aquatic aquari began developing music that used water currents in ways they had forgotten for centuries. Even the logical Techron machines started experimenting with random processes that led to unexpected discoveries. On Earth, which humanity had secretly been preparing as a demonstration world, Young-ho Choi established the first school for quantum consciousness. Aliens who wanted to learn human thinking methods could come to study. "We cannot teach you to think exactly like humans," Young-ho explained to his first class of alien students. "Your minds work differently than ours, but we can teach you to embrace the chaos in your own thinking instead of fighting it." The first graduates of the school returned to their home worlds with new ideas that shocked their societies. Vorthak, who had learned to enjoy mental noise instead of seeking perfect telepathic clarity. Quillen, who had discovered the value of individual thoughts within the hive mind. President O addressed the galaxy one final time from Earth, standing in a garden where plants from 100 worlds grew together in beautiful chaos. "The Council thought that peace required control and uniformity," she said. "We have discovered that true peace comes from diversity and freedom. When every species can develop according to its nature, when every world can choose its own path, the galaxy becomes stronger and more beautiful." She gestured to the garden around her, where alien plants were growing in patterns that followed no single plan, but created harmony through their differences. "This is our gift to the galaxy. The freedom to evolve. We humans will guard that freedom, not as rulers but as protectors of diversity itself." As her words spread across the galaxy, something new began to grow. Not the rigid order that the Council had enforced, but a dynamic balance where chaos and structure danced together. Young-ho Choi, now teaching his quantum consciousness classes, Two eager students from dozens of species smiled as he watched young aliens discover abilities they never knew they had. The council thought evolution had ended with logic and order, he told his students. They forgot that chaos isn't the enemy of progress, it's the engine. The galaxy was learning to evolve again, and humanity, the species that had been dismissed as primitive, had become its teachers. The quiet exodus was complete. The real journey was just beginning.